just get to it, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. Hi there. Welcome to our Christmas Eve broadcast. My name is Tony. If it's your first time here wondering what Star Trek New Worlds is, it is a turn-based strategy game that we play online here with you today on Facebook Live, once again, Twitch and YouTube. We show you the map as populated by Vassal. And we're playing this game with the rule set of Federation Empire as published by the Amarillo Design Bureau. Now, today is Christmas Eve, and I don't have like a Christmas hat or anything else, but something that I thought you'd get a kick out of. I have two wonderful daughters, and, you know, they wear these little things. Now, I don't have any hair, but this is as festive as I'm going to be able to get. So hopefully you enjoy that. Take what we can get. on this Christmas Eve broadcast. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, let's just dive right into, shall we say, the Galactic news. Oh no, let's do that properly. Let's do that again. Let's do that again. Do that properly. Please excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, the Galactic news. Oh yeah. Turnabout diplomacy in what can only be described as a colossal navigational error. A Romulan ship carrying a high-ranking diplomat experienced a GPS, Galactic Positioning System, failure. The erroneous route they took resulted in the capture and apparent assimilation of several crew members and the entire diplomatic team before the ship managed a daring escape. Romulan officials have stated it is entirely possible that this is the result of a sabotage team aimed at preventing the Romulans' peaceful expansion. We are hopeful that our diplomatic team may somehow help prevent future raids by our isolationist neighbor. Are these purveyors of planetary peace doomed, or are we about to witness an upgrade to Diplomat 2.0? Terran tactical tomfoolery. In a desperate Hail Mary, Terran forces attempted to outflank their Canadian They're Klingon invaders. The Terran home fleet performed an end run around Invincible Fleet and captured the world of Savannah, cutting off supply to the majority of Klingon forces on the front lines. A brief battle took place in Sector Kilo 15 before the Klingons pulled back in order to reestablish logistics support. While most of our military consultants agree that this won't change the inevitable outcome of the conflict, it did buy the beleaguered Earthlings a few months of breathing room. Pressing the attack. The Reman Navy, following up on a recent victory over Juggernaut forces in their space, attacked the remnants of the Juggernaut fleet as it fled for repair facilities. The Remans had large numbers of ships, but nearly all were small attack craft. Suffering heavy losses, they managed to destroy both the remaining Juggernaut ships and the battle station they were cowering under. Score 1 for the carbon-based life forms. Would you buy a used station from this lizard? The ink has only just dried on one of the biggest real estate transfers in recent history. The Gorn Harmony has signed over the entirety of their eastern enclave to the ISC, along with the YDK at its core. Rumors abound that massive sums of treasure changed hands over the deal and that the commander of Strike Fleet will soon be buying an expensive mansion. Or do they prefer a nice warm rock on the leisure world of Ryza? Is that a monster in your pocket? Deep space telescopes have picked up a new monster roaming the Eastern Carnavon space. The type of monster is unknown, as the great distance and speed of the creature make it difficult to get more than a blurry smudge. Scientists are intently focused on what will become of the creature and what, if any, damage it might do to nearby Carnavon shipping lanes. And that is the Galactic News. All right. Well, hopefully that was exciting, tantalizing, and piqued your interest. Let me give you a quick walk around the park here. If you are brand new and if you've just joined us when it comes to the Galactic News, you will notice between me and the chat over there, there is this QR code. You can take that QR code and scan it with your phone, and that will take you to that link down below. And if you are so inclined and you like what we do here, then you can please feel free to fire us a disruptor of coffee that will help support, caffeinate, and stimulate what it is that we are doing here on this channel. Speaking of which, cheers, big ears. That's right, just like that. Someone has just fired a coffee. We'll see there in a moment who it was who fired that coffee. It was the Juggernauts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Daniel, for that slam of caffeinated goodness. And you have just seen what happens when you decide to fire a coffee. Of course, if you're not there yet and you're just saying, whoa, we just met, romance a girl a little, that's okay. You can be like Usyk down there and join us on our journey to 500 subscribers. We're currently at 296 as of the time of this recording. We are trying to break 300 before the new year. Only days to go. And of course, we're trying to unlock the community tab here at YouTube, and that's why the 500 is a number. So 500 subscribers unlocks the community tab, and that is where we're trying to get to. But below that Usyk's fine name, you will notice that there is a progress bar. So that green will progress across the bottom of the screen as we get more coffees. The goal for today is not 1, not 3, but 4 coffees. 4 is the magic number. Quattro, you might say, is our goal for today, to be able to get 4 caffeinated pieces of goodness into the live stream. So 4 disruptor fires away. We have 1 disruptor fire is away. We have 3 more to go. Let's roll into what we're talking about today. Let's quickly say hello to everybody in the chat. We can see Bill, Juggernauts, Juggies, all the way. Oh, what fun to watch them burn in an MTech CCM. Obviously, his command cruiser is on its way. Devin Dean, afternoon, Bill. Hey, Devin. Eugene, R. vibrant, energetic, and pervasive press agent. Visiting parents will not, Wi-Fi not great. Hope I can see the show live. But if not, we'll catch it over time. Hope that everyone has a great Christmas. Eugene, Merry Christmas to you and the fam. Hope you have a wonderful time. After all, it is the holiday season. Everyone just enjoy your time. Speaking of which, those of us down under, Terry, the Carnavon player, is experiencing Christmas right now. He is a day ahead of us, or at least a day ahead of me here on the west coast of North America. So Merry Christmas to all those on the other side of the international date line. Hopefully Santa has been kind to you. We're looking forward to Santa's visit tonight. Ho, ho, ho. All right. Galactic news with a holiday twist, says Daniel. Paul is in the house. Of course, the coffee has been fired. Dell, Merry Remus to everyone. Ho, ho, ho. You can't be petty, says hello all and Merry Christmas. And of course, Bill is chiming in there. Merry Christmas to all. All right. Without further ado, let's dive ourselves into the map. So as we heard, and we'll start off with the, well, what am I doing, Tony? You're falling into your old habits of not doing what's really important, which is going over EP and fleet cap. So we'll start with EP as fleet cap starts to populate here. There we are. All right, so we'll do from the top to the bottom as we do before. The Carnavon are at 43.5, 43.5 EP. That's how much money is coming into those canine coffers. The Gorn are at 61. Ooh, I feel like they lost an EP or two. That's probably because they have surrendered their eastern reaches. So that explains that. The ISC are at a sweet 55. The Klingons have taken a step back to 78.5 as opposed to 79.5 due to some Federation tomfoolery. We will get to that in a moment. The Remans are at 69.5, still number 2 on the economic scale, kicking butt and taking names. The Romulans, 52.5 EP. Look at those Tholians, 68.5, knocking on the Remans' door. They are sneaky. There has certainly been some movement on the economic front. Tholian surging ahead in a big way. We'll have to talk about that. All right, let's talk about fleet cap. The Carnavon still sweet at 100 ships out and about, 272 total attack factors, 439 defense. The Gorn with 92 ships in their pocket with 225 attack factors, 382 defense. The ISC just above the Carnavon by 1 with 101 ships floating around in space at 332 total attack factors, 487 defense. The Klingons at 117 total ships at 417 attack, 469 defense. There's quite a difference between their defense factors, 469, and the total fleet cap of 504. So there's quite a few cripples still roaming around. The Remans at 147 ships, still the leader of the pack with 447 total attack factors, 561 defense. The Romulans, 75 ships that are securing their borders at 259 attack factors, 407 defense. The Tholians, number 2 on the fleet count at 134 ships, 220. That's a milestone for them. 200. I'm going to have to check out what they've got going on. 220 total attack factor, 515 defense. Interesting. Okay. So let's talk about the Balkans first off. Let's, we'll start with the top. We'll work our way down, and then we'll start with, we'll dive into the major empires with Big Red. So we can see here that in the north of the Reman Empire, we have a couple of interesting things happening. You can see there is not one, but 2 space people. Again, this constant surge of auxiliary cruisers coming in from the edges of space. There's 2 of them now floating around the Borak planet up here in blue. And they're going to seemingly make their way down here and cause a ruckus. But the Remans are still obviously focused on their conquering of Lyran territory. You can see Triton fleet here. Let's take a quick look at what's in Triton. Ooh, that's quite a coalition of ships. So we've got not 1, not 2, but 3 CRMs. We still got 4 KRMs. Those are the M-era cruiser for the Remans. KD-4C, that's the Y-era command cruiser. They have 4 KD-4s, again, Y-era cruisers. A K4, that's a destroyer from the Y-era. K4Ms, 2 of them, those are M-era frigates, and then Y-era frigates, 2 of them, KE2s. They've got 2 different tugs, the KRT, which is an M-era tug. Interesting that it has better defense factors and same attack factors as the KRM as a 6.8, and they have a Y-era tug, the KT4. Interesting split of ships there. So quite an offensive piece of offensive firepower there, and that is sitting. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so that's sitting right on the edge with the Red Roost Regency. The question is, will they just roll over and take over Red Claw, or will they be following suit with the KD-3E here? You can see that they have just broken through the fog of war into Tholian, the Lyran space. So this is interesting because we talked about how the Remans in the last live stream, the Remans are trying to push towards and take potentially this Lyran pocket, but there's quite a contest for it here. So interesting to note. So there's Triton Fleet. Now it's a little bit of a ways away from getting in there, and certainly there is a supply issue of ships trying to get in and doing what they need to do to be able to secure that area. But we also have here KRM, so that's a Mauler, KRMM, a Mauler, 3 K4Ms, which are the M-era frigates for the Remans, 2 K4s, which are the Y-era destroyers. I know it's a little confusing looking at them, especially since they have the same iconography. Interesting. Well, they've got a lot of cruisers, and but their flak of destroyers are non-existent in this area of their fleet. So interesting to note there. But they have quite a significant population of ships ready to poke in and prod the Lyrans in the backside. You might say that they're doing their due diligence to be the galactic vets, taking care of the kitty cat problem, spading them and so on. I know that's a damn terrible metaphor. Speaking of animals, let's move on to the Carnavon over on the western side of the Lyrans. The dogs are circling, it would seem. Interesting. So they're not actually. What's going on here? I, as always, haven't looked at this map until right now. So Topaz, let's take a look here. Topaz, so what do we got? We got 12 frigates, some destroyers, a drone bombardment destroyer, 4 drone bombardment cruisers, 3 light cruisers. These are all Y-era ships. 4 cruisers, a command cruiser, and a DN. So this is not enough to be able to take Olympus. We've previously covered what's in Olympus fleet for, where is it? Kazinti. For recap, where are you? Olympus. So we can see here, this is Olympus fleet down here. You have a YDN, 2 M-era CAs, a YCA, 2 strike cruisers, again of the M-era, a Y-era strike cruiser, 2 light cruisers M-era, a Y-era light cruiser, 4 M-era frigates, and 2 Y-era frigates, and two scouts. So this, plus their planetary ground bases, of which they have 8, and the YDK, makes this a very hard target, and I don't see that Y fleet being able to take it. So the question is, what are they doing? Like, are they looking to get past or like circumvent Olympus and the Kazinti and get into the Lyran pocket, or what's going on there? Or maybe they're, I don't know, biding their time. Very, very interesting. So when it comes to this little pocket here, the Gorn, the Remans, the Carnavon contesting over the Lyran remnants. Very interesting to see how this goes. First Reserve Fleet has found a resource up here, so that's good for them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yep. And then we've got the YCA that's, I'm assuming, claiming that colony ship. We'll see what happens with that colony ship and what they do with it. But as we go down, we can look at the Gorn. So the Gorn have diplomatically, once again, executed a coup d'etat, and the former Lyran colony is now a Gorn colony. Very interesting to see. You can see that they're probably going to take this resource here momentarily. But we were talking about in the last live stream the combination of mobile and Vengeance Fleet. Vengeance Fleet continuing to make its way up here. Fifth Fleet trying to break the fog of war here, perhaps to make it easier for Vengeance Fleet to get through. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So they're doing that business. But once they're all said and done, are they going to make a run at the Lyran capital? We got 3 different factions fighting over this particular spot here. Again, the Gorn, the Carnavon, and the Remans all fighting over this Lyran pocket. It'll be very, very interesting. Speaking of pockets of resistance, mon Dieu. So we have the ISC who have nudged their way with Judge Fleet into the outer reaches of Federation space. Interesting. And as you can see here, the B10 battle group Invulnerable and Insatiable were previously located in J14, this little hex right here. Those sneaky Federation, so first of all, I made a mistake. I thought I was playing against a passive AI, so to speak, in the sense of like in previous games and even in this game, non-player characters, NPC factions, non-player factions have been rather passive. They don't go outside their borders, typically. They're not aggressive. So I was pretty much playing a safe game when it came to attacking the Federation, not anticipating that they would be so bold as to do what they did. But let's map out what they did. So because I didn't write orders in such a way that would pin ships that were trying to pass me, because I have more than enough ships to pin the majority of the Federation fleet, and if I pin them, force them into an engagement, I was in J14, and they just went 1, 2, 3, and took this little spot here. Sneaky bastards. So those buggers took the planet, and when they did that, they not only did they take the supply point, but because of I was here, I have a ship here, India. So let's just put these guys here for a sec. This hex here, India 16, was not disputed because when it comes to supply, and you can check out our supply tutorial in the playlist on this channel. When we talk about supply, you can have, if you have contested ships adjacent to a hex that supply is running through, you can still run supply through it, no problem. But if you don't have ships adjacent to it, then you can block that hex, such as the case with this fleet here and this ship here are blocking India 16. This hex, supply can't go through it when the ships are in this position. They caused my battle group to be out of supply, and then the Federation attacked me. So I retreated, and I retreated here, so that when I'm in this position with a ship here, I have contested these 2 hexes for supply, so I have a clear supply route to my B10 battle group, and I'm good. The problem is, now I have to decide, what am I going to do with this battle group? Am I going to move into and attack the Federation, knowing the Federation will move first, and they'll be able to repair these ships and do what they want to do with them? You know, or deal with, I guess, this issue with the supply. I think I know what I'm going to do fairly clearly, but writing my battle orders in such a way, or my contingency orders in such a way so I can prevent the Federation from catching me flat-footed like they did, those sneaky little pointy-eared, pale-skinned monkeys. Yeah, they caught me flat-footed for sure. So we're going to try and sort that out. But that was a very foolish mistake on my part, a very smart and savvy move by the GM. I think of this as now being an opportunity to play against the GM, Daniel. I'm going to basically fight Daniel in this encounter, which is going to be fun. I'm no longer thinking them as passive Federation non-player character. I'm thinking of this as Daniel, the GM, is fighting me, and I'm gonna play it like that. So that'll be interesting, and we'll see how that goes. So very interesting to see how this is going to evolve with the Federation trying to do their best to fend me off. But as was mentioned in the Galactic news, it is unlikely that that will substantially change the outcome. It will, however, delay the outcome and cause me more pain in executing it, which is a huge irritation. But we'll sort that out. It's all going to work out just fine. All right, so that's what's going on with those folks. Let's take a moment and talk about the recent red wave of the Tholians moving into the former Kzinti hegemony here. So if you do not recall, go back an episode or two, and you will see that this little pocket down here was one of 3 pockets of Federation space. I suppose one of 4 pockets of Federation space that existed. It is the third to fall, and the Tholians had attacked this planet here. If I take away the shits for a sec, and I take away the bases, New Zintia, or Zintai. They attacked that planet, took significant casualties in taking it, but then after taking it, had opened up these other resources for collection. So now they've taken those, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this particular planet, when crippled, and it's still recovering, provides 2 EP. That is giving them an extra 6 EP on their income, which is putting them at the 68.5 economy that they're at. Very, very good play, very frustrating from a spectator perspective, because not that I want to see the Tholians fail, but I want to see the Tholians fail. I want to see the Tholians struggle, because this entire game has seen them cruise through the game without any significant opposition. Bugger lugs. So that is what is going on. They have taken that little pocket, and what's particularly interesting for me is how close that pocket is to the Soul Confederacy that I'm attempting to take, and we will see how that sort of manifests and resolves itself as we go forward. But I think this scenario is going to necessitate the Klingons applying more. Whoa! A coffee has been fired. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, a disruptor has disrupted my train of thought. Thank you very much for that stimulating caffeine jolt. Let me take a quick sip and figure out who it was. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sir Clean Gene has fired that coffee. Thank you very much, Gene, for stimulating the juices and keeping us primed and prepped during our live stream today. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. So as I was saying, the focus is now going to have to be consolidated and we're going to have to refocus our energies and efforts to be able to take out the Soul Confederacy. No longer are they a non-player faction. I will consider them the plaything of the omnipotent GM, and I will be personally combating against Daniel. Of course, that is problematic, as he is the god of our universe. So I'm going to be fighting God? Oh my goodness, that's a losing battle. But we'll see how things evolve. Do you want to find out more? Be like our buddy Yusik and help us get towards that 300 number before the end of the year, and hit that subscribe button. Don't be shy. All right. Otherwise, if you are currently watching and you haven't already hit that thumbs up button, please feel free to tickle YouTube in just the right way. Giggles abound when we hit that button in just the right way. I'm noticing that we are currently at 14 concurrent viewers. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us live. Please, again, we're only at 5 likes. Let's get that number up to 14. Merci beaucoup. Moving on to the exciting and delighting aspects of the Tholian Empire. A couple of things to note. I am observing a lack of attention being paid to this raider off the sort of the edge of the Tholian Empire. I'm curious if it will cause any damage by taking out this convoy or attacking this base. I don't think it'll take the base, but it'll be interesting to see what damage this space person, the space people, are going to do as we go throughout the game. As we noted before, we have the large contingent of cripples over here at the YDK in Sierra 21. These are the remnants of the attack on the Kzinti. They'll probably be repaired very shortly, and we'll move forward. We've talked about before how we think I believe that the Tholians have M-Tech but haven't actually produced any. Let's take a look at their home fleet and see if they've poked or popped any M-ships in there. Not yet. Man, I am so... Oh, what's this? Bang. There it is. Okay, we were looking for evidence that they have M-Tech. Proof positive. There it is. What I've highlighted right here is a commercial convoy. Previous to now, commercial convoys in the Y era are Y comms. Y era commercial convoys. When you go to the M era, you drop the Y. So what you can see there, and what I can see, is a commercial convoy with no Y. We can confirm that the Tholians have M-Tech. Ladies and gentlemen, galactic factions around the world. That doesn't make any sense. All my player factions, we know that the Tholians have M-Tech. It is just a matter of time before they start pumping out those ships. We need to mobilize. It is a call to action, a call to arms. Ladies, gentlemen, players around the universe, we need to deal with this existential threat. Join with the Klingon Empire to oppose this tide of red. I'm at a loss for words. It's so impactful. This tide of sedition, this tide of corruption, this tide of heresy, if I were to quote the Hydrants. This is horrible. We need to wash clean this crystalline menace. We have to scrub our barnacles free of our hulls. These mineral buildups are just a pestilence that needs to be persistently pounded into dust. And I need your help to do it. The Klingon Empire is certainly willing to rise to the occasion. However, it is not something that we can do by ourselves. If they certainly do have, as we have seen, M-Tech, then we need to come together as a community and stomp out this terrible crystalline menace before they encrust the rest of the galaxy. This is my call to you, my call to arms to the galaxy, to the galactic community, to those players who are playing today. We must come together before we have one of those days that will live forever in infamy. We must take them out. Like a surgeon, as Weird Al once said, cutting for the very first time, we must eliminate this boil from the galactic hiney. It's terrible, I know. Okay, let's get back to the map. Woo! Here we go. Boom! All right, so we know that they have M-Tech. We've seen that. We can see they have YPCs and a DDM. Ladies and gentlemen, I can see a destroyer in the M era. It is a 4-5 ship. Interesting to note. I think the big thing to note here is we've seen not only a DDM that's been pumped out, we have seen the commercial convoy. This truly indicates a tidal shift in the Tholian presence, and I believe they are going to start populating ships that are significant, offensively capable, and are going to be quite a problem for the rest of the galaxy to deal with. We'll have to see what happens. Only time will tell. But I am concerned, to say the least. I will say that it is most likely the impetus for this conversion to M-Tech. I believe they've had it for a while. I believe that the impetus to drive them towards M-Tech at this point is the proximity of the Klingon Empire. I've talked about wanting to knock boots, so to speak, with the Tholians for quite some time. I believe that the proximity of and the potency of my battleship fleet in the Sol Confederacy and the recent move into Gazinti space by the Tholians is creating a friction point, and that's going to be the location of our potential conflict. It is driving the Tholians to be able to populate a fleet that will be capable, or at least more capable, of being able to offset that. So we'll have to see what that looks like as we go forward. let's take a quick look at their second and third fleets because we want to just make sure there are no sneaky M ships in their third fleet here. So we can see that third, we'll put them in order here. Second on the left here, 2 cruisers, 6 destroyers, 4 YPCs. And third fleet is 2 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 7 YPCs. These are second and third fleet respectively. Fleets that are currently guarding the wormholes into ISC and Remans space. Interesting. This is a monumental shift. We'll have to see what goes on here. Okay, let's talk about the Gorn. Now, we know that the Gorn, let's slide over, and I will move my head to the other side of the map here. Whoop. So we know that the Gorn have surrendered this territory. So they've captured the ISC, that is, have captured this YDK. They still need to convert it. If you want to think about it from the perspective of DS9, if you remember in the very beginning of that series, when they took over, the Federation took over the Cardassian station, it was all full of Cardassian tech and they couldn't figure out how to work it. They went through a consistent process of upgrading and replacing Cardassian components with standard Federation fare. That is basically the conversion process that we're talking about here, only it won't happen over 7 seasons. It'll happen over a turn once the appropriate tug and or convoy is collected there and can perform that action. So that is what has happened there. Strike Fleet, you can see here, moving its way up towards this wormhole here, where Providence and Integrity Fleet are, and Order Fleet are, making its way up there under escort by, it looks like, Truth and Justice Fleet. And it'll make its way there, and we'll see what happens. Now, let's look at the rest of the Gorn fleet. Now, we can see here that we've got base being constructed by this tug. 4th Fleet, Gorn 4th Fleet. Up until now, the Gorn have been rather unimpressive militarily when it comes to their units. Their individual units have just not been very powerful or potent. That is likely to change as we go into MTech. We can see here that we have 8 frigates. We have, again, 9 destroyers, 3 CCs, and DN. So as a Y fleet goes, this is pretty good, especially for the Gorn. What they're missing in individual unit potency, they're making up for with numbers in this example. Hammer Fleet, which is the fleet that was previously the fleet that had M ships in it. Let's take a look at the named fleets. Hammer Fleet, we have a CLM and 2 CAMs. So you can see their CAMs are a 6.8 and their CLM is a 5.6. Very similar to what we saw with the Tholian destroyer, which is a 4.5. I believe it was 4.5. Is that what it was? Let's take a look. 4.5. So very much in the same vein and comparable in that way. We have also Home Fleet on the Gorn homeworld. And let's pull up Home Fleet. I'm sure they have more M ships there. No. Interesting. I wonder where all the M ships are. Well, there's definitely going to be some M ships floating around. Let's see. As we can see, we've got a... oh, my head's in the way. My head's in the way. Tony. Okay. Let's try that again. So we saw Hammer Fleet up here. We talked about that. And let's pull up Hammer Fleet. Okay, now we can see that a little bit better. CAM, CLM. There's 2 CAMs here, by the way. CLM and so on. We have, in this area, we have 8th and 2nd Fleet down near where this Raider is. So let's take a quick look at Gorn 8th Fleet. We will see that, aha, this is what I'm talking about. 2 CAMs, cruisers, 1 CLM, and a total of 5 destroyers. Now, the Gorn destroyer doesn't seem very potent or powerful, and that's fair. It's only a 3-4. But if you look at the difference in their ships, the CAM and the CLM really make a difference. When they get to GW tech, that's really going to move the needle. And I suspect some late era M ships is going... when they get late era M ships, that will change the disposition of their fleet as well. As a quick note, we have what's called the MSIT, the Master Ship Information Table. It is what I call the shopping list of ships for each faction. And in that shopping list, the MSIT, there is not only the unit type, i.e. a CAM, or whatever the unit is, it has information about that unit, as in command factor, how much it costs, what the combat and defensive ratings are on it. So how many attack factors, how many defense factors, and so on. One of the key things that it has in that table is the introduction date. And depending on the faction, many of the core, Romulan, Klingon, Federation, those three, as well as the Gorn, the Kzinti, the Lyrans, maybe the Hydrans, they have a flushed out or progressive introduction date of various hulls. What does that mean? That means that when you initially arrive in MTech, as the Tholians have, you will get certain ships, i.e. the first ships to be invented or introduced in that line. And then after that, they will start introducing ships later and later as the technology matures and the industrial capacity builds and they've invented new designs for ships. This would be an example of, in the Axanar timeline, if you are an Axanar fan, you'll know that they had the Ares class, I believe it was a cruiser, maybe a light cruiser, and that was a revolutionary ship in the Axanar narrative. And the Constitution class heavy cruiser was the next iteration in that design philosophy. They had built the Ares, the next ship up was the Constitution. Same thing with the Klingons. The Klingons had created the D6 and they were now going to launch, I believe, the D7, and that was going to be the game changer for them. And if you go through the timeline of various factions, they'll have different dates at which ships get introduced. So what does that mean for us? What does that mean for us is that each turn is half a year, and you might have a ship, let's say, for example, year 120, generally speaking, is the default year for the introduction of MTech, provided no investment in technology. That's the normal progression within the timeline, year 120. So you might have in year 130 something, the introduction of a cruiser class in the M era. Okay. And then maybe in the 140s, a destroyer. But in 120, or let's say 122 or 125, you might get the frigate and various other ships. When M-Tech is first introduced in 120, you'll get the commercial convoy, normal convoy, and a bunch of the auxiliaries, but you won't get those warships until later. And so that delayed introduction or delayed availability of some of these ships stretches over the course of the timeline that you have. Different factions have different issues on this. For example, the Romulans are waiting to get their Falcon, which is a Mauler, and the Falcon, Y-era Falcon, comes in much later, almost in the M era, than some of their other ships. So they'll have M-era ships, and then they'll just get introduced the Y-era Falcon. The M-era Falcon hopefully will come shortly thereafter, but again, the introduction date of these things is all over the place. So depending on the faction, the introduction date of your different hulls will depend, and we'll go from there. I'll give you an example when it comes to the Klingons. When the Klingons were first introduced into MTech, we initially had the D6. The D6 is our cruiser hull, and I got that, I think it was year 122. The D7 came much later, and if you will watch previous episodes of the live stream, you will note that I started producing D6s, and that was the major cruiser hull that facilitated our attack on the Carnavon, and only recently have we started pumping out D7s. That's because the D7 didn't come till later. The difference between the D6 and the D6 is a straight 7 ship, 7 attack, 7 defense. The D7 is an 8 attack, 7 defense ship. And that is the M era version of it. When it goes into GW, the stats change as well. So there's a myriad of things there. Oh, all right, let's dive right back in. So we've talked about the Gorn. Let's talk about the Romulans. Okay, so the Romulans have, again, as we've talked about, this interesting, couple of interesting things. Let's talk about their diplomat issue. You can see here the J-Rom Diplo. So this is in regards to the ship that had a navigational error, went to the wrong place, i.e. typo, and unfortunately their diplomat was captured. So we can see here that the diplomat is currently on a Juggernaut base. If they want to liberate their diplomat, they're going to have to go get it. But what is that diplomat going to offer as a capability for the Juggernauts? For player factions, we can use diplomats to bring factions on side to us, like, for example, non-player factions, like the Romulans just recently did with Scintilla here. They were a Paravian planet that they negotiated they improved the planetary attitude, and eventually it joined the Romulan Empire. Will the Juggernauts be able to do something similar? Will they be able to use their diplomat, now Romulan diplomat, to go to planets and have them join the Juggernauts? I don't know. That'll be interesting. Interesting to see. Will they be able to use it against the Orions here? Oh, actually, so what am I saying? That's White Dragon. That's a Borak faction. Will they be able to go to the Borak faction and do something? That's interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. So we don't know what that looks like. We'll have to wait and see. When we talk about the Romulans, we also have this J wormhole. This has been sort of an interesting location. So 4th and 5th Legion are the two current fleets that the Romulans have sitting there on this base station. So we can see here, and I'll move these a little bit further over so that we're, yeah, there we go. So we have 2 War Eagle M's. These are the early cruiser hulls for the Romulans, 4.6s you can see. They have a YKB, which is a Y-era Kingbird. That is their command cruiser. Similar stats. The big difference between these two ships is WEMs can travel 6 hexes. The YKB can only travel 4. In the 5th Star Legion, you can see that they have a Commando Bird, Y-era Commando Bird with 1 G factor. They have a B-series snipe and 6 normal snipes, and then another War Eagle. These 2 fleets alone are not enough to do anything through this wormhole. Enough to hold it, barely, but nothing to really do, nothing to really threaten the other side. However, Expeditionary and First Fleet, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So M-era ships can travel 6. Going through a wormhole is 1 movement hex. So they could, if they have M-era ships in them, move through that wormhole. Here's the kicker. So this is the Expeditionary Fleet, which is this one up here. 2 KEMs. Those are Those are command cruisers. QEMs, which are just improved cruisers. 5 8s, 5 7s, respectively. 5 S and B series snipes. A tug, which is the FE, and a survey and or scout. It's a survey ship, but it also has scout capabilities. That's the Pelican Eagle here. So this is an interesting fleet. Then let's look at First Legion. This is the one down here. 2 King Eagles, 2 Queen Eagles, War Eagle, 5 snipes, snipe Bs, 1 snipe, and a scout. So we have 2 fleets within operational movement of the wormhole to be able to go through it. They have combined a pretty significant attack and defense factor. Let me see, how many snipe Bs is that? That's 5, and they have 5 here. So that's 10 snipe Bs. A snipe, no big deal. But 2 scout ships, 4 Queen Eagles, which are cruisers, and 4 King Eagles, which are also cruisers. So that's not an insignificant amount. And what's interesting to note when thinking about an opponent such as the Carnavon, generally speaking, don't have very strong attack factors with their ships. At least not at this point in the Y era. So just something to think about. This is these are ships that are within operational movement of that wormhole and basically provide a threat to it. However, what's interesting about their positioning is that they are not in a position to defend it, meaning that if the Carnavon initiated something, those 2 fleets could react sort of the next turn to attack the Carnavon as they're going through the wormhole, or like after they've established themselves on the Romulan side of the wormhole. But they can't really do anything about it. They can't react and support the J defense unless they apply a reserve fleet, which I don't believe they have as of yet. However, a couple of interesting caveats as far as what the Romulan capabilities are. You'll notice here that they have a Vulture, a Y Vulture, which is a 7.8 ship. The M-era Vulture is a upgraded version of the Y, and that's very easy for them to do. They have, let's see, Second and Third Legion here. So let's look at the 2nd and 3rd real quick. 2nd third. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, so these are the two legions that are here, and then of course there's 15th and home. Let's pull those up. Home, and there you can see there is an M era vulture, and 15th, I think it was 15th. There we go. So that's the very bottom here. Okay. So home 15th. Okay. So this is what we got. This is what an M era vulture looks like. It is an 8-10 ship, moves 6. It's a command factor of 10. It's a potent vessel, without a doubt. You've got 2 King Eagles here, which are command ships, command cruisers, that is. They have a 9 command factor and 5-8 respectively. War Eagle, number of Y era warbirds, 5 of them total between those 2 fleets, and a Y era tug. You have, of course, the M era vulture, the Y era vulture, which could be upgraded. I don't know how much it costs to upgrade them, but or convert them to M era, but I imagine it's not that expensive. And you have a Y era Pelican bird, which is the Y era survey ship. I'm sure they can upgrade that to an M era relatively quickly, and it will have scout functionality as well. If you take that into account, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these ships, once upgraded, because all of these ships in the Romulan Navy can be upgraded, that's the kicker, a unique capability of the Romulans, that's going to be a very potent fleet. The question is, how long are you willing to wait? We'll see. We'll see. But let's take a look at the Carnavon on the other side, and I'll move my head. Whoop. So this is the other side of that J wormhole. And what do we have there? Obviously, it's the Carnavon capital. That's the big kicker. But we have Diamond and Home Fleet. So Carnavon Home Fleet and Carnavon Diamond, Diamante. So, wow. Well, these are not small fleets. So you can see here we have 2 Y-era dreadnoughts that are Carnavon made, one that was captured from the Hydrants. The Hydrant one is a 6-8 ship. The Carnavon ones are 5-8s, but they do have heel nippers. That's the kicker. 2 command cruisers between the two fleets. 2 cruisers. Are these? Yeah, so we have 9 drone bombardment cruisers, which are pretty decent ships, 4-5s. A number of drone bombardment destroyers, 5 in this fleet, 6 total. We have a total of 8 and 6, so a total of 14 frigates, a drone bombardment destroyer, and a destroyer. These 2 fleets seem like they would be enough to stop whatever could come through. Here's the thing, though. When you do a capital defense, and let me show you what I mean by this, capital defense means that you're defending this entire system. This system being a home planet, which in this case is a major, so for a home system, it provides 10 EP by default. A minor planet, which is 3 EP, and a colony, which is 1 EP. The happiness or the planetary attitude adjusts the income because they're all happy plus, but let's just focus on the baseline. There are 3 planets in the system. So when you attack, when an attacker attacks a home system like this, the capital defense rules, as published in Federation Empire, require that the defending ships or the defending fleet split their fleet into 2 groups equally. One fleet is a floater fleet, and they can move to wherever the attacker is going. The second half of that initial combat force needs to be divided evenly, relatively evenly, across all 3 planets. So in this case, you've got 3 planets, a fleet of, let's call it 15 ships, just to make it easy. Let's say you have a total of 30 ships in your defensive fleet, whatever the mix is. You take 15 of those ships, and they have to defend the planets, 5 on each planet. And then the remaining 15 go to defend wherever the attacker's going. So instead of having a defending fleet of 30 versus, let's say, an attacking fleet of 30, you have a defending fleet of 20 because it's the 15 floaters who go to the planet that's being attacked which adds just 5. So they have a total of 20 ships defending versus the 30 attack. The attackers don't have to divide their ships that way, but the defenders do. This is a distinct tactical advantage for the attacker, which is why you never want people to get close enough to attack your home system. Now, the advantage for the defenders, of course, they've got defenses there, potentially planetary ground bases, as you can see here, in a YDK and a YBS over the homeworld. So the homeworld itself will be a difficult hex to take, or a difficult target to take. But the attacker can cripple and devastate these 2 other planets in the process. Crippling, in this case, the Carnavon economy. So the challenge here is that the advantage is on the Romulan side if they were to go through the Juliet wormhole, because they have the advantage of splitting up the Carnavon defenders. The only thing is, and this is interesting, the defender doesn't have to fight the battle. They can retreat. Now, you can still pursue them, but if they retreat, they can basically do a fighting retreat from one planet to the next, so they can consolidate all their forces at one planet eventually. And so you'll eventually have to fight that fight. The thing is, you'll do damage to in this case, the Carnavon on the way there. How do you want to do that? How do you want to make that play? It's going to be interesting. So from the Carnavon perspective, you don't want this to happen at all, which makes it useful and or advantageous to go through that wormhole and take it. They have more than enough ships to take it, to take the wormhole and hold it on the other side. The question is, what do they want to do? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It is, without a doubt, an existential threat for the Carnavons, because the advantage is for the attacker when they go through. As the Carnavon wait and delay, they will only lose their advantage, because the Romulans will increase their offensive output. So we'll see how that goes. Very interesting. And the Carnavon can build they can build M ships. Now, I don't know where their M ships are, because they did have a CLM. Hold on. Carnavon. Diamond Fleet. Did they not have a CLM in here? They did have a CLM. Where did it go? Home Fleet. Carnavon. Home Fleet. Where did it go? Well, now I'm curious. So the Carnavon did build an M-era ship. We know that they've been building, or they can build M-era ships. Where are they putting them? Maybe they're putting them over here. Oh, there it is. CL. 2 CLs over on the other side of the wormhole. You can see that sitting there on that base. So those CLs are over there. I'll be curious to see what they end up building as they go forward. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Let's move my head to the other side, and we'll talk about the Klingons real quick. So what's happening on the Klingon front? We already talked about the Balkans, which is the big news, really. We've eliminated the space people, the incursion by another auxiliary battle cruiser. It was a 9 attack, 9 defense ship, so we went and destroyed that. We have some other ships in the area, and really along the border here, we've got one. So Emperor Fleet, which is the one that's right here over this planet. We'll pull that up real quick. Emperor's Fleet. You can see it's a D3 and an F4, nothing too crazy. Just to be able to like secure the planet and hold it. 1 destroyer each on a base and on a resource. And you've got 2 F4s here. So nothing too crazy when it comes to distribution of ships. The Romulans have put some ships over here as well. Romulan 14th Fleet, or 14th Legion, I think is right. So it's a QEM and an SMB. So nothing too crazy. A couple of M ships. I've got a couple of Y ships. No big deal. Excuse me. As we scroll up here, we can see that there is a D6M doing some exploration. We've got West and Red Fleet, which are a combination of a cruiser. Here, I'll just show you. West. West is a tug, a couple of F5s, or 3 F5s, and 3 E4Ms. And Red Fleet, basically the same thing, except there is a D7 in there. So a total of 6 F5s, 6 E4Ms, a D7, and a tug, all sort of in this hex, preparing for some base building, and away we go. We've got Green Fleet here, which is sort of a Klingon fleet that was dealing with the Juggernauts up in the north. You can see here we've got a total of 5 D6s and 8 plus 4, so 12 E4Ms, all in that fleet. Some exploration up here, a bunch of cripple still, and away we go. So nothing too crazy. That's I would say there's no big news on the Klingon front. We've covered the Carnavon ever so quickly. Let's slide over and cover the rest of their territory. So we've got a CAM. Okay, that's cool. This is the monster we were talking about in the Galactic news, a little monster up in the corner. It looks like a planetary, like a doomsday device. That's just the icon for the counter. Who knows what it really is? The question is, how and what are the Carnavon going to do to engage it and figure out what it is? Because that's always the challenge, is that when you go with monsters, sometimes monsters have capabilities to be able to affect all ships in a battle force, or not. And so you could send a fleet to go destroy it, but if it has sort of an area of effect weapon, it can destroy your entire fleet. Cheers. Oh, wow. All right, let's talk about the ISC. Woo, big money maker. They have purchased the Gorn territory. They'll be able to pick up that YDK shortly. That's good. So the YDK will be purchased by them. They are escorting Strike Fleet on its way to the wormhole. Interesting to note the collection of fleets over this particular wormhole. We've got a base being upgraded to a YDK. Very important. Order, integrity. Let's go to the named fleets. It's just easier to... Whoops, named echelons. Here we are. So we've got Providence, integrity, and order. So Providence, CL, and a bunch of DDs, 5 of them. Order fleet, which is there as well. Yeah, order. Okay, order. Order is a CA, 4 CLs, and a tug. And then Providence. Oh, we did Providence already. Integrity, that's the one we're missing. Integrity fleet, so CCCL. So nothing too crazy here as far as a fleet, more than enough to be able to stop any Tholians coming through without a doubt. But not, for example, a big threat to Tholians for ISC coming through. Not at this point, anyway. Other than that, we've got the tug and destroyer. Interesting. So we've got the exploration of the quote-unquote backyard by the ISC. You can see the YFEL doing its thing here. 9th Fleet here. Tug supporting the extended supply, I'm assuming, through not only the wormhole, but here. What else we got here? 10th Fleet up in the north. YFES. So no news is good news when it comes to the ISC. Remember, the ISC are still sort of recovering from their war turns from the prolonged generational war with the Hydrons. And so while they still have a very potent military, and they are certainly a force in the galaxy, they're in a position where they're not really facing any threats, which is great for them. So they can concentrate on sort of like the infrastructure and building out their infrastructure and supply network and getting themselves set up for success in what we'll call the renaissance of the ISC, which will come once they hit MTech. And that will be a very interesting series of events once that happens. Speaking of a renaissance, the Remans are certainly enjoying an expansionist period. Not only have they taken over, as we talked about earlier, with the Red Roos Regency over my head here. Whoop, I'll move over there. The Red Roos Regency and their push into Lyran space. That'll be very interesting to see how that manifests. But as we talked about in the Galactic news, they were able to eliminate a Juggernaut fleet here. So what we've got, Athena and Pacifica fleet. Let's just take a quick look at Pacific. So there's Athena and Pacifica. There you are. So these are the two fleets that engage the Juggernauts, and we can see there's a number of cripples here. Obviously, 10 destroyers there, 2 + 4, 6 there, and a 3 crippled frigates. But they still have a potent fleet here. We have Dreadnought, 2, 8 cruisers. Wow, 9 if you include the command cruiser. And then they still have uncrippled 20 destroyers and 8 plus 12. They still have both over 20 destroyers and 20 frigates in this fleet. This fleet alone is more than enough to pound anything that's going to come through. I expect that if I'm the Remans, I'll secure this resource here at some point very soon. Make sure that it's within supply, like build a base or something over here so that it's within supply. I would actually probably, if I was them, build a base in Juliet 26. I mean, ideally, Lima 26 and then Juliet 26. But if they're trying just to, well, I guess, you could build it in Lima 26 and then you'd have the reach to get that resource. But the fleets would be in a position to be able to roll through this wormhole whenever they feel like it and cause significant pain to the Tholians. And that's the kicker. The Tholians are on the other side of this wormhole. This is the November wormhole. As a reminder, the November wormhole is this one here. Why is that one so special? Because it's so close to their capital. 4 hexes away from their capital. And if we take away ships for a sec, the November wormhole is close to a planet, a minor planet that is a supply point, obviously Proxima. It is within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of this Kzinti planet here. Like there are a number of ways that the November wormhole could become a huge pain point for the Tholians if it was leveraged in the right way. The question would be, if that is what happens, what are the Gorn and the Romulans going to do? Is there going to be conflict there? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But that is the Remans. That is the ISC. That is everybody at this point. All right, let's talk about the chat. It's been all this chatter from my end and no exploration of the chat. Let's talk about the chat. Okay, so Dell says, Merry Remus, everyone. Tholians have built M-ship. Paul is scared, shocked, astounded. Daniel, I don't think the Remans know what peace means. They just keep building more ships. Fair. What did the Tholians do? No, it must be rumors. Balkan nations are a little different. You activated their full-on war mode when you invaded Terran space and captured a resource. I didn't invade space. It was the neutral zone. I merely disputed it. What did the Tholians do? No, it must be rumors. To be fair, Daniel, if I captured a resource in the neutral zone and that caused the Soul Confederacy to get all pissy with me, I wonder what the Kzinti are feeling with the Carnavon having a base inside their neutral zone. Just saying. Where are we here? Tholian M ships. A bigger hammer to smash Juggernaut bases with. Yes, George, perhaps, but I am more worried about what the Tholians will do in the long run. Fed Home Fleet took the long way around so the Klingons couldn't react and pin them. You didn't have a scout there last turn. True. Gene, what's up? Omnipotent GM, Tony. What do you mean? Fighting God is very Star Trek. So true. I mean, bad in the way of Star Trek V, good in the original series, fighting the Greek gods. I mean, there's so many different ways we can go there. Tholians have a DDM already. Galactic Heine? Yes, I know that caught your attention there, Bill. I think he who has BBs should go play especially since you out EP him by 10 EP or so. 2 vultures in that area, Bill says. Everything is Reman space. We give permission for other races to inhabit it. Of course. So, should the Klingons take on the Tholians because I out EP them? I don't think that's a good argument, if only because logistically I'm very vulnerable with the wormhole scenario. Now, while I can certainly take the Soul Confederacy, and that'll provide me a great sort of bastion of strength, without a clear line of supply to that area of space, I can be very negatively impacted by the wormhole. That's the challenge. Now, the only way around that would be to have multiple vectors of supply, such as, you know, the Gorn have that wormhole, that AA wormhole. I suppose if there was a way that I could get over to that AA wormhole and provide supply through it, maybe. Yeah, I'm looking around. There's no other wormhole in the area that could help. Although there's that H wormhole. So here, let me just show you real quick. In Federation space, if I take away the ships and the bases, there's this H wormhole here. Now, no one's transited it. I could transit it once I take it, maybe, and figure out what to do there. Figure that out. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that could be an interesting option. Maybe. We'll have to see because, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what it's going to look like to be able to build a resilient supply network in that area. If I take all the resources and stuff, that'll be more than enough to supply it in the event of bad things happening. But the supply thing's a big problem, a big challenge. And I would either need a massive military, like a empire's worth of military assets on that side to prevent it from being attacked by the Tholians, and another vector to attack, or something. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Anyways, let me get back to this one. Those cursed Klingons starting wars again. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you know, the Remans just did say that the entire galaxy is theirs. They just give permission for other people to live in it. I mean, I don't know. But what do you think? What do you think about this scenario that we have here when it comes to all the various factions in the game? We have the ISC that are playing it quiet and coy. We have the Gorn, which are doing wheeling, dealing deals to be able to get themselves consolidated in a single space. The Romulans are playing an interesting game of, I'm not sure if they're being aggressive or just super sneaky. I'm uncertain as to the end game for the Romulans, but we'll see. But nonetheless, the Romulans are engaged in a very interesting long game. I'm curious to see what it looks like in the end. The Carnavons have a very interesting dilemma to face. Do they deal with the Kzinti and or the Romulans? Both, none at all. How are they going to move forward with that? That's going to be interesting. Obviously, the Klingons are dealing with the Terrans, or the Soul Confederacy, I should say. But what are the other options? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, another coffee has been fired by the Remans. Cheers to my my colleagues in a similar hull type. It's a very nice doing business with you. Thank you for the support. Merry Christmas to those folks over on the other end of the pond. And we are only one coffee away from our goal for today. We are at still double digits for our live stream, so thank you very much. And double digits for likes. Thank you very much for that as well. If you are catching us on the replay and you've stuck with us this long, then maybe it is just up your alley to be like Yusik there and hit that subscribe button and join us in our journey to pass the 300 mark before New Year's, knock on wood, and or as we move our way towards 500 subscribers. 500 unlocks the community tab. That is the goal, the objective, what we're trying to get to. Yes. Otherwise, if you're just watching this and you're having fun watching me with this little Santa hat on my head, then please feel free to tell 2 friends about how silly this guy is and this fun game that we're playing. The whole purpose and the intent of what we're doing here is to build a community around playing this game. This is a game that, to be fair, it is not trending. It is not viral. It is a game that very few people play and even fewer are aware of. So we're trying to build awareness about it and show that this is a game that's fun to play, that you can play even if you don't have folks in your vicinity that play this game. You can play this game with folks around the world doing like what we are doing here, playing it over email, using Vassal for the map, and so on and so forth. If you want to play in campaigns, then please feel free to join us as a subscriber on this channel. Be up and aware of when our next campaign is starting. There has been, and we've talked about, a new campaign. We've got 2 currently running, And there is another campaign that is in development, and the idea was that it was going to run at some point in the early part of next year, late part of this year, early part of next year. So we don't have any updates on it as of right now. It's still in development. The game master who is looking to run that game is in no rush, but we will let you know as soon as the next sort of recruitment drive goes out there for players. We'll put out the notice and you guys can sign up. As that works, when it comes to new games that are being played, Coffee supporters get first dibs at being able to sign up for the game, and of course, if you're subscribed and have notifications on, you'll see the recruitment video when it goes out, calling on players to join. So we'll have to get more information on that as we go forward. But yeah, it's still in development, and we will see how it goes. But exciting and delighting and just good fun all around. Again, we're just trying to build a community around playing a game like this, a turn-based war game, Star Trek-based, in the Starfleet universe, and just like having fun playing war games in Star Trek. So anyways, that's what we got. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us here on Christmas Eve. Hit thumbs up, everybody, says Bill. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on Christmas Eve. There will be a New Year's Eve next Saturday broadcast as well. I don't know if I'll be doing it with champagne. You let me know what I should do. Should I have a champagne bottle here and pop the lid and away we go and have some bubbly on the way? We'll see. That could be fun. What kind of drinking games should we have if that's the case? And what are we going to be talking about when it comes to the turn? We shall only have to wait and see. All right, with that said, thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful, merry, and safe holiday wherever you find yourself in the world. If you're in the lower hemisphere over in Australia and so on past the international date line, Merry Christmas to you. For those of you who haven't quite hit that time in the day that it is going from Christmas Eve to Christmas, I wish you a Merry Christmas and have a wonderful holiday. I will see you on New Year's Eve. Ciao for now.